The first question that we need to ask ourselves is why do people exhibit their work? The second question is how they exhibit their work. And then the final third question will be specifically how photographers and media artists achieve the look or vision that they really aim for. I want all of us to do an individual study. This study is about venturing into spaces and places around you and finding inspiration. The idea is to go to your local art gallery, go to a public space where you can see photo or media art around, or go to any events of sort that is meaningful. So generally around Vancouver, around Fraser Valley, there are a bunch of gallery spaces that one can visit. So one of the most central galleries that I definitely encourage people to go is Vancouver Art Gallery. But then there is also the Reach Art Gallery in Abbotsford. And then within our UFA Abbotsford campus, we have our very own Seliha Matautuk Art Gallery. So I want all of us to examine these three questions that I proposed. So let's talk about why do we exhibit our work as photographers or media artists. So what is the need? What is the purpose? Photography, at least for a creative or any sort of artist who dabbles in digital media, is never about just documenting a fact. To be honest, like taking a photo of a person, of an object or a landscape is pretty, but it's just factual. Now, the idea is that how can we take all this knowledge of photography and photo manipulation and then also insert our creative perspectives? So now it is recording an idea that you have and then juxtaposing it with a concept. So we have gone over Lightroom tutorials, Photoshop tutorials, and concepts like avant-garde. Now the aim is to create media art or photo art that evokes an emotional state to anyone who is actually interacting with your work. So how can you tell someone uh, about a deeper emotion that you are feeling without any words? So the idea is that we all have these creative practices and urges that doesn't really can be translated into mere language. Like for example, I can always say that, hey, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling sad, but as a photographer, I can sort of translate that into the way I'm actually catching light or the way I'm editing them or the way I'm using my camera specifically. So to exhibit one's work is to communicate something profound, or else it is just a random piece of photo, let's say of like a chair or a person. Cool to look at. You're documenting a space and moment in time, but it doesn't really translate into your personal expression that you want to exhibit. Now, the second question is how do artists exhibit their work? To do that, you have to visit a space that houses a body of work by creatives. The how is then met with your own research about a particular piece, a particular gallery where you are. So a photographer can have multiple perspectives. Someone would only use film or analog cameras to achieve a certain look. At the same time, someone uses the modern digital one that we have. Someone will always go out on the street on an impulse, then take a lot of photos, then edit them in a way on Photoshop, on Lightroom, or different software to get a very specific look, say like noir. Now, there is definitely a more specific taste for someone who would want to rather plan specific studio shots with external lights, specific looks, with specific subjects to sort of achieve a very specific conceptual idea. So now we have to look into that how would you show your work or how would artists show their work after all this conceptualization and creation. It could be an impulse, it could be an inspiration. Some do messy collage work that is sort of shown in the gallery space in a very clunky way. That's the purpose, to feel uncomfortable. Some use a very methodical, minimalist layout. Some will use technology to achieve some specific nuance. Whatever the case may be, it is always about communicating your creative being. Now, our final question is, how do they achieve a look or actually find an audience? It is about your inspiration. It is about the exposure to the world around you. To be an artist, not just a photographer with a camera. Anyone can do that. That's why the idea of taking a creative course and then sort of going through it is about peeling a layer of that. How can you use a camera that is more meaningful and authentic to you? So you're actually collecting information, processing it, and then creating something that's unique. So when you go to an art exhibit, you just don't look at someone's work without context. You read labels, you read descriptions, and then you understand how and why they do what they do. So context is very important. That's why we create all these documentation that support our body of work. So your work here is to venture out to do these individual study, ask these questions, find inspiration, recreate 3 pieces that can be exhibited somewhere, sometime, hopefully. But that's the whole idea. Now, photo curation and media art are extensions of visual arts pedagogy, in which the idea is to alter reality or present a unique, very personal perspective. So I'm looking forward to this individual study. Best of luck, and please enjoy the process as well. Take care.